Boogerman, a pick and flick adventure, is a disgusting game. Not that it's bad, it's actually quite a hidden gem. It's just that it has to do with disgusting things. You're this superhero who basically uses nasty parts of his kind of bodily excretions to fight enemies. Like, your main attack is to just flick your boogers at enemies, but you can also fart at enemies and then hold your fart in for a long time and do this really strong, powerful fart. You can do the same thing with burping. You can burp at enemies and do these super strong burps that go a really long way and can take out really powerful enemies. Boogerman runs around these nasty places like the sewer system, just cities covered in snot, just wacky, nasty things that would make kids in junior high school giggle. Boogerman swings from dry snot. He collects cans of beans, to increase his fart capacity. All the enemies have to do with something disgusting. Some enemies are just piles of awfulness. Some enemies are these goblins who are basically just toilet goblins. It's a game that tries to be wacky and tries to gross out, kids. It's a game for kids, basically. But despite its really strange and ooh, nasty, ooh, disgusting kind of atmosphere, it's actually surprisingly good. I mean, the game is drawn very well. It controls incredibly well. It is, as I've said, one of the hidden gems in the world of retro platforming. And the reason it's hidden is because it's just not a game for any kind of demographic. Because it would be such a gross concept to kids, they'd be like, ew, icky, They would basically buy this game to laugh about it. Some 12-year-olds hey dude, check it out, I got this game where a guy farts at enemies. If you choose between something like that and Mega Man, a game that's worth basically the same amount of money, but it's Mega Man, you know what you're in for with Mega Man. This is not a game people were basically looking forward to playing. It could have the best controls in the world, it can be drawn beautifully, but it's ultimately you just running around farting at enemies, and that's not really a concept a lot of people would spend $50 on. Like I said, it's a game that didn't have an audience, but it should have, because despite its silly concept, it is, as I've said, drawn very well, and the controls are nothing but smooth. It is really, really satisfying to run around the levels, smashing things, fighting enemies, fighting various bosses who are just intermediate enough in difficulty, just like the rest of the game, where it's fun to play. In terms of platforming, it's very good once you get past the silly concept of you traveling through toilets and through noses and farting at enemies and just being around disgusting rivers of slime and boogers. I wanted to review this game for a long time because this is a game from my childhood and not for the right reasons. When I was a kid, I used to think this was a bad game. Like, when I sat down to make this review, I thought I would be making something like an awful Genesis games type of review. But the memories I had about this game as a kid are all wrong. I think the reason I thought this was a bad game is just because I thought it was just a stupid concept, and also I played it when I was sick. I had a fever and I stayed home for a few days and just played Boogerman all day long. So, I have kind of a fever, a headache, I can't taste food because my nose is all clogged up, and I'm playing a game with a disgusting concept. I just didn't appreciate the game for its good controls and for the fact that it handles well and ultimately is drawn well. Now, however, looking at the game objectively as a semi-professional game reviewer, I'm important now, by gum. I see the great parts of this game and I can appreciate them. Boogerman, for the Sega Genesis, it is also for the Super Nintendo, but I have not played that version. But the Sega Genesis version, the one I grew up with and the one I used to record footage and play for this review, gets an official, underrated platforming classic stanburdman rating of a 7.8 out of 10. It's a game you should try out. Ignore its silly concept. It is actually a very good platformer. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.
Oh!